Caca.
Howdy.
Alright.
Salutations, everyone. How is everyone tonight on this fine evening? I'm assuming it's fine where you are. It's actually quite fine where I'm at, so hey.
I'm pretty cozy.
And hello, my name is Kai Unity Kai. Sorry about that there. My microphone was set on default. The dang OBS updates, as well as every other updates, tends to set things to default. We had issues earlier with the input audio, or output audio rather, but our topic tonight is on ontology. Essentially, ontology is the study of existence, being, and reality. Some simple questions to think about when we think about ontology is what is real and how do we know what we know? And then there are different ways to look about this. There's the realism way, there's the idealism, constructivism, and holism. And so these differ in the way that they pursue examining what is real and how do we know, but other questions really are what is it to exist, and how do we know that we are in existence, and what if we aren't in existence? What if reality is nothing more merely than some sort of an illusion? This ties into earlier podcast topics that we covered concerning the what was it, the simulation theory, I think. So,
Oh God. You know what
yes.
this reminds me of? The
What's
Elder
that?
Scrolls mythology when it comes to Kim.
Yeah,
Do any of y'all know the not Dragon Age, Elder Scrolls mythology at all?
I unfortunately don't.
I've played Morrowind and I've played Skyrim, but aside from those two, not really.
Okay, so essentially, within that game, that reality is thought to be nothing but a dream of an elder being, sort of like Sheogorath or Cthulhu or some sort of Lovecraftian thing.
Okay.
And essentially, to perform Kim is a being within the dream, realizing that they are within the dream, and so they can either partake of two choices. Either wipe them from existence because they realize that they're not real. Essentially what the dwarves of the Elder Scrolls did. They basically wrote themselves out of existence. Or they ascend what they are and start manipulating the dream in which they take control of and becoming a god.
Wow. I really like that. And speaking of recognition of yourself in a dream, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but I have what is called sleep paralysis. I've experienced it a few times off and on, but there have been times where I have awoken in my mind, but I'm still asleep, and I know that I'm asleep. And I'm like trying to mouth some type of a, like, help, you know what I mean? Because it's very scary. Yep. It's terrifying.
It is.
Yep.
Frightening, yes.
I
know
have
when it happens.
been visited by the sleep paralysis demons multiple times. It's quite terrifying.
Yeah.
It really is. Because you don't know if you're going to wake up again. That's what it feels like, anyway.
But once you get that sensation back, then you kind of get jolted awake.
Right.
And I know I've noticed, at least when it happens to me, you know, in the concept of lucid dreams, which we could cover that in the future. The way I know it's about to happen is my ears ring as I fall asleep.
Do you ever have, okay, so this, do you know what exploding head syndrome is? Essentially, that is hearing loud sounds or sometimes hearing voices, things like that as you're drifting off asleep, and that ties into the sleep paralysis thing. It's a, for lack of a better word, it's a glitch between wakefulness and sleeping, where you'll hear things.
I believe that's probably where the tinnitus, the ear ringing comes from.
Okay, because I also experienced tinnitus as well, particularly in my left ear. So.
Well, when it comes to tinnitus, most of that is coming from damage to the little hairs within the ear canal.
That is correct.
Because they'll just start vibrating for whatever reason, and that's what's caused that ringing tone, but we don't know what causes the actual vibrations themselves.
Right.
In my case,
think it's a... like a form of hearing loss or Q-tips being used too aggressively.
Yeah.
Yes. We do also know that it's hereditary for the most part.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
Well, my father and his father both have experienced tinnitus. Tinnitus.
Mine comes from consistent. Like I played drums for a lot of years. I played drums for 19 years this year, and maybe the first 5 or so years were without any kind of hearing protection.
Well,
And
that'll do
so
it.
that'll do it.
That and I know several people who've shot several guns without protection and developed tinnitus because they decided to get drunk and be stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
I've only been shooting a couple of times, and I've used rifles and shotguns. What is it? Skeet, I think it is, where the little discs are.
Yeah, skeet
Yeah.
shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've done black powder rifles, handguns. I even got to shoot a cannon once. That was fun.
Oh, wow. Like a medieval type deal?
No, so when I was growing up, my grandfather was really big into the Boy Scouts, and so was I.
Oh, okay.
And the troop that I was part of every year went to Camp Bud Shield, which is like the biggest Boy Scout camp within the Piedmont region.
Okay.
And they have a cannon on their campground that when on the first night of the camping events and on the last night they shoot the cannon as like a ceremonial type thing.
Right.
And I was allowed to do it one time.
Nice. That sounds like a lot of fun, but also a little bit nerve-wracking, I feel like, too.
Well, see, it took them like 7 years to allow me to actually to do it the one time.
Oh, wow.
Like 7 years of me going and being a part of the kids that went. So, and my grandfather, he became part of the council for the camp and stuff like that. And he's big, and those have to where they'd let certain amount of kids do it every once in a while. So it was
Really
cool.
nice. That's cool, man.
Yeah. When I was a kid, and I mean young, like between I think 5 and 8, my dad was particularly really big on those Civil War reenactments. And so I was around that stuff all the time.
That's
Muskets
big in your
and
area, I
cannons.
believe, is it not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like almost stereotypical, I think.
Yeah, it kind of is. I think it's well, I mean, this was well over 25 years ago, so
So
yeah, it was kind of it was a big thing among my
Let's-
dad's generation.
let's tie that, the reenactments into cosplay, because that's kind of what that is. How can we tie cosplay to ontology? And in trying to determine what's real. How can we, when you're doing cosplay, I've never done cosplay, but when you're doing cosplay, what is it that somebody does to make them feel like they're really that person?
I believe it has to do with the emotional attachments that you form between largely fictional characters.
Not necessarily. It just depends on
Not.
what your connection to the character itself is. It doesn't matter whether the character
An
is fictional or
interpretation of the
non-fictional.
character.
Yeah,
Correct.
because I cosplayed as the Penguin.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Oh my god, it was so much fun. But the idea behind cosplay is to reenact a scene or a character from either a historical moment or a fictional moment, though it's mostly been used for fictional moments now in modern age. But Civil War reenactments, that's just cosplay LARPing.
Yes, LARPing. I've heard that term before. What is it again? Live action?
role play.
There we go. There we go.
Action role playing.
There we go.
Yes. See, what's funny is the Civil War reenactments and stuff like that, the war game tables, all that led into like D&D and the modern fantasy games that we have today, especially like Warhammer and stuff like that.
You know, I've never made that connection before, but you are absolutely right.
Yeah, Gary Gygax and his friends were a bunch of war table players that would just play all those old war games where they just reenact old ancient wars. But they was like, you know what, let's decide to create our own thing and start messing with the rules. And so D&D and stuff like that came about because they wanted to reenact these old things.
So when they're reenacting and interpreting, do you think that they're adding a flair, their own flair to it, or are they trying to be true to life to the character?
Well, in order to create D&D, they added their own flair. That was the whole point. They decided to. It started out, let's reenact exactly how it was, but then people decided, let's start adding our own twist to it, and that's what sort of led to the natural development of D&D, because they said, okay, then, well, let's just start adding our own mechanics. Let's change a few things and add some fantasy, and then Lord of the Rings happened, and then that just added a whole bunch of stuff to fantasy.
Yeah, classic movie as well. Very good.
Well, the book series itself is what's added a lot to high fantasy. Tolkien himself is like the father of high fantasy in the modern era. He is the
Any-
reason why
When he
we
wrote
dwarves the
fantasy.
way we do.
Okay. Any similarities with what's his name? George Lucas, I think, isn't that his name?
Okay, George
Oh,
Lucas
Star
created
Wars?
Star Wars,
Yeah.
which is much later. Tolkien came out. Tolkien was an author and an Oxford professor shortly after World War II.
A professor? I did not know that. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, he was an English professor.
Wow.
Yes, and that's what sort of led him into creating his whole fantasy, is that his love of language and learning of writing his own language. He created his own elven language, and that sort of spiraled out into him creating this whole thing of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and everything like that.
Okay, so let me run from there and tie that to self-efficacy, which is essentially one's ability to accomplish tasks and overcome challenges. So when somebody is cosplaying or LARPing, are there any abilities in that interpretation, in that play, quote unquote, that can help that person in their real life, that they can extrapolate and reapply in their real life?
Creative problem solving, teamwork, dynamic thinking.
Very good answers.
It depends on how you approach it, because if you go for LARPing, that's more of a group thing and it's more dynamic and you have more people to deal with. While cosplay can go from being a singular person's project all the way up to a group project. So it really depends on how you approach it.
Very good answer. So I would suppose that that also ties into, in a way, the skills that you would apply in role play, cosplay, LARPing. Maybe it also allows you to know yourself better, perhaps, would you say?
I'm sure. So yeah, knowing that the effort that you go into it is in itself learning yourself.
Okay.
It's also a way of testing your determination
Correct.
and your creativity.
That's more or less what I'm trying to word out here.
I get you. But LARPing and cosplaying, though they seem similar, they are different things. You don't have to be a good cosplayer to LARP, and you don't have to be a good LARPer to cosplay. Because they've honestly turned it into like a cash grab, glory, look what I built in my basement, honor me type of thing. And it's more of a contest who could pull off the fanciest. And I'm not the biggest fan of those type of things, but the effort itself, the artistic behavior behind it is fantastic. Like I saw somebody who created a gigantic Reinhardt thing, and it was glorious to look at in live in live person. I saw a picture of it. It was great.
So you might have to explain that. What is a Reinhardt? Sorry,
It's a character. It's a character from Overwatch.
I was going to say I was thinking of Reinhardt, which is a character from Castlevania 64. Forget the character's name, but his last name is Reinhardt, I believe.
I played that game. I can get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But no, he's a giant metal armor knight dude with a giant hammer and energy shield, and it's like giant metal and spiky.
I'm
and it's
wondering if that's
fantastic.
kind of where they got influence for Reinhardt's name. Who knows? But very interesting.
Possible.
Okay, so I'll lead us into our next topic here. This one's a whammy. We've kind of touched on it before. What is consciousness?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
It is.
Well, I think that's all up to interpretation because everybody's different. their idea of consciousness is different. And
Is it merely
in my case,
synaptic processes in the brain, or is it? Is consciousness? Let's put it this way: is consciousness derived from our mind, or is it outside of the mind? I believe it's outside of the mind, and the brain acts as like a filter. What do you guys think?
I
Well, it
think
depends on
therefore
whether
I
you believe
am.
we have a soul.
True. Do we have a soul?
Yeah, I was about to say, exactly what is the definition of a soul other than yourself, your consciousness?
When we pass, is it nothing? But then we have to ask ourselves, and these we get into very convoluted topics here when we talk about this, because
Yeah.
with philosophy, and because nothing can be looked at as a noun, no thing. But a noun is something, so nothing is something, but that something is nothing. So when we pass, is it nothing, or is there an afterlife? Is there a reincarnation? I know what my beliefs are, but what do you guys think?
I
I'm a
believe it
Christian.
should be left. Yeah.
Reincarnation, Nicro? Okay.
No, I'm a Christian.
Oh, Christian. Sorry, I misheard you there.
Well, in my case, I think it ties more into your own spiritual beliefs.
Mm.
And everybody is different in their own way. You may subscribe to one theory, which is when you die, you become nothing. Or you could subscribe to another theory, which is when you die, you go to heaven or hell or whatever your concept of an afterlife could be.
Right.
Or when you die, you
You
become
come
a
back as a
part of
worm.
the natural cycle
A
of
worm. Yes.
nature.
So I would have to
Or
say
cow.
that I juxtapose Christianity because I would consider myself to be a Christian as well. But I believe in God in a different way. I believe in a way everything, animals, people, plants, the air, the dirt, a stone, a rug in your room, a chair, everything is energy. And all of that energy is what we refer to as the supreme being or the Lord or God. So, but that would be blasphemous according to Christianity, because I know Christianity. I know the only way to be accepted into heaven is to go through Christ. You must believe in Christ, but you also must have accept Christ into your heart. And for me, it's kind of difficult to do something like that. But that does give us a different interpretation, I guess. Like you were saying, Manic, yes. If depending on the interpretation there, Christianity or religion that believes in God, it's heaven or hell or limbo or paradise, or it's reincarnation. You're reincarnated into a different being or whatnot, and I kind of lean more towards that. So
I don't believe I've ever publicly talked about this before, but my own personal belief is that when you die, your energy, your leftover energy, gets recycled. Not quite reincarnation, but it gets reborn into new energy within nature. And some people may call that ghosts, or some people may, but I believe that, when we die, we just become part of the earth, become part of the natural cycle of things.
So the grander, there is a specific term for it. I can't recollect it right now, but essentially that's a metaphysical type of belief there, which I'm glad you brought that up. But we return to this when we pass, and from that, under my beliefs, we have karma, and we create karma throughout all of our interactions with everyone and the different things that we do in our life. And this dictates and influences it's an integration of Eastern philosophy as well, I suppose. But essentially, humans.
Giving back
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's sort of like giving back to the life that you were given.
Giving back.
You return that life, and Yeah, you return it in exchange for, whatever nutrients you can provide back to the world.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good way to
Think of
put
it
it.
like, think of it like, think of it like, an animal being eaten as prey.
Hmm.
They
That
didn't die
might be
for
what
nothing.
Go ahead, Nicro.
What's that now?
that might be what happens to the physical remains, but I don't think that's what happens to what we are energy wise in our own bodies.
So energy
I just
wise,
believe that the energy gets transferred,
so
if that makes sense.
with Christianity, you either ultimately go to heaven or you're damned. And if you're damned, it's not because Jesus or the Lord wants that to happen. It's literally because the individual with their free will chose that. And the reason being is because sin, no matter how minute it is, cannot be allowed into heaven. It cannot. Heaven is perfection. So if you never accept Jesus and you die never accepting Jesus, inevitably you will go to hell. And oh man, I've seen some videos on YouTube of people's testimonies of going to hell, and I want to believe they're real. If they are, it's very extremely terrifying because not only do you feel more, your senses are amplified by 1,000 when you're outside of your body. So imagine that, feeling every type of pain there is when you're in hell. There's hardly any air to breathe. You take like like that trying to breathe. It's completely dark. Millions of people are yelling. It's deafening, and you're tortured with a pain intensity times 1,000 for eternity, because you have to remember, time is a human created invention. Time does not exist.
Correct.
So very scary to think about, is it not? It scares the hell out of me.
It actually is.
That was sort of the point, I think. Because if you actually look at the Bible, there really is no reference to hell until you get to the Revelations, and even then, it's not really described all that much, except for
And that
burning
part, I
lake of
believe, is
fire held
largely
within the gaping maw of Abaddon.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have any details on hell except for the Commedia dell'arte.
Well, see,
From Dante.
under the Latter-day Saints LDS Church, hell is not a place of damnation, but it's a place of knowing that you could have had heaven. And that in itself, I guess you could say that it's a hell. But
that's also a terrifying idea at the
it
heart
is.
of it.
I've heard of that
very much
sort
is.
of. I've heard of that idea before, that hell isn't a place of torture, but a place of separation, knowing
Yes,
that you are
exactly.
forever separated
Exactly.
from God.
Exactly.
And that in itself is the torture.
Yes. And knowing for eternity that you could have had paradise, but you will. It's kind of like if you're a ghost living on Earth forever and you can never have a body again. Think about it like that. It's kind of.
You know what it
same
actually
way.
reminds me of?
What's
The
that?
fields of Asphodel. The place where beings go in ancient Greek mythology, where if they didn't want to be judged, either for good or ill, they would just go to the fields of Asphodel and wait forever.
So kind of like an exile almost, to a degree, a little bit.
Like a limbo.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That the Catholics say that all babies go to if they die before they can be baptized, and
Right.
all that sort of nonsense.
So
But the
pets.
Catholics also pray to saints, and so
Pets and animals. What's your thoughts on pets and animals? Some people believe that they're in heaven, that there are animals in heaven. Others, they're not. It's just they're only here for Earth. But if that's the case, that would mean animals don't have a soul. Have you ever seen a dog smile? You know that a dog has a personality, right? So they're a unique being. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Who's
Yeah.
to say that they don't have a soul?
It's one of those things that it's not meant for us to know, because it doesn't affect us one way or the other. We are meant to
Right.
only know
I mean,
what
I
we
agree with
know,
that.
and God will make us aware of things that we're meant to be aware of. animals having a soul, I don't think we're meant to really know. Just like how I think magic died from the world. At one point, I think magic was a thing that existed, but God decided mankind does not need to have access to that.
So that's a very, I don't know how to put it. Thinking that magic existed, that's a very tantalizing type of thought.
Well, magic is nothing but the primordial energy of the universe, and a lot of ways that magic has been depicted is that the energy that the wizards or whatever manipulate is the primordial force that created the universe, and magic is the ability that the being uses to manipulate that energy. I think God might have stripped us away from that ability. I think that there has been a big loss of spirituality. I think there's something to
indeed.
say that we have lost our connection to the natural world and became what we are now.
Well, speaking of losing the magic, losing spirituality, today in our current society, there is very, very little religious that is emphasized. Religion that is, well, I guess then again, if you consider the churches and whatnot, there are very large churches, many different large churches. But
There's a lot of large money gathering places.
yes, that
I
is
wouldn't play
well,
in churches.
tithing. Personally, I think that is, if you can, go ahead and do it. Some religions, it's law. You have to give 10% of your income to tithing. The LDS Church, in specific, you have to give 10% of your income to the church.
Same with baptism. Like tithing is a thing, and I'm not saying that tithing in itself is wrong. My issue with organized religion is just how corrupt they've all become, how money grubbing they've all become. Did y'all recently hear about that mega pastor that got into trouble for wanting to buy a jet
Oh,
using
I've
church funds or
seen
whatever?
so many videos on. I think I know who you're talking about. The one who was pointing his finger at the Inside Edition lady. I
Yeah.
think I forget
If
his
anybody
name.
looks like they was possessed by a demon, it was him.
Yes, I
all
know
these
who you're
modern-day
talking about. Kenneth
evangelists-
Copeland. Kenneth Copeland.
Yeah, like these modern day evangelists, it's just corruption and greed at its highest point, and I just cannot agree with it. I don't see how
absolutely
people
agree
can
with that.
fall for this nonsense. It's been an issue for plaguing humanity for eons. I don't see why we still keep falling
Well,
for this greed.
The
and
Lord
this
does
corruption.
say to watch out for false teachers, and I think that many of these people may be. They are. They seem on the forefront to be wonderful and to lead you to grace and to comfort, but some of them can be, that's what is it, pieism or remaining pious?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if a preacher asks me to send them money so that they can save my soul, they're just not worth my time. A preacher is to spread the word, not save your soul.
So that means that they should live very humble. They should live within their means. They shouldn't live in a big mansion when the people that are giving to them live
No,
in
there's
impoverished
nothing
conditions.
wrong. No, there's nothing wrong with making a living as long as you're doing it honestly and you're not duping and causing harm to the people that follow you. I don't care if you make an honest living and you get to where that you can have all those things. But to go out of your way to spread fear and cause people to think that they have to donate to you in order to receive these blessings and to receive this golden ticket into heaven is not okay.
I agree.
I do not
agree as
accept
well.
that practice. I will not ever accept that practice. The Catholics have been known to do this, and yet we still allow it to happen. I'm sorry, but you can't buy your way into heaven. A pastor is meant to show you the way, but it's you as
can't
the
lead
individual to
you can lead a
step
horse to
into
water,
that
but you
door.
can't make a drink. Essentially,
Exactly.
Okay.
A creature cannot save your soul. You have to save your soul yourself.
Manic, I want to get a couple of more of your thoughts here. We're already at a half an hour, guys, and I got to say, we're running stable, so I think everything's fine. But we got a half hour, and then I'm going to do some Dreamcasts for an hour after. But I'm going to grab a beer, and then I have an activity I want to share with you guys. You don't have to do the activity, but I just want to share it with you just so you can think about it, and also to share it on the stream. But Manic, do you want to give a thought about ontology or really anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, ontology at its heart.
I'm going to
really
grab a
is,
drink, so I'll hear you when I sit back down.
Ontology at its heart really is, I think, therefore I am. And there are many different ways. Everybody's a little bit different. And I believe, if somebody has, say, a mental issue, say schizophrenia, or any kind of something that kind of warps the way that you think about reality or the world. There are some people that actually have issues with separating reality from fiction. And I'm not discrediting these people at all, but it's not as cut and dry as, well, what you see before you is real, because it's not. We especially in the world of television and film and even books, that we develop these sort of attachments to these fictional characters. And these fictional characters, because we feel a certain way toward them, when we, like when something bad happens, say, somebody gets killed off on television, we feel a certain way. Does that make that character any less real?
Oh, I have the perfect example for this nonsense.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so my favorite book series of all time is done by the author R.A. Salvatore.
Okay, haven't heard of this author, but give us
I have.
You have? Okay, so give us the gist, Nicro.
He's the creator of the Drista Erden, one of the most popular D&D characters of the modern era.
Okay.
One of his characters, named Caddy Bree, essentially has mentally been graped by a person who, up until a certain point in the series, has been relatively just a bad guy. And I got angry when this happened to this character. Like, Caddy Bree was one of my favorite characters, and when this happened, I literally got so angry I had to put down the book and walk away for a week. That's how angry at this character I became.
So have you seen the TV series Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so at the end of the series, like the last few episodes, when Skyler, Walter White's wife, betrayed him, I felt very angry about that. But in a way, Walter White kind of deserved what had come to him, I suppose. But he
totally did.
Yeah, I can relate to you when you can say that you can very much resonate with the character and you feel for them. I would say that this also applies to music. That's why people like music, because we can relate to it. We feel that it's speaking to us in a way.
And plus, music is a universal language.
That
it
is
doesn't
true.
matter where in the world you are, what language you speak, what you believe in. Music resonates with everyone. It may not be your particular cup of tea, but it is a universal language. Everyone can speak it. So
that's why I'm able to listen to the Mongolian rock band The Who and just be able to bang my head all night long just listening to that stuff.
Nice. Mongolian, huh?
Yeah. The best example that I can bring of to let you hear their music is that they did the opening song to the Star Wars Fallen Order game.
Oh, that was them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they also did a cover of Metallica's, one of Metallica's song, and it's great.
Oh, okay. So I got to tell you, I have not explored any of the alternative Star Wars films or series or whatever. I'm only familiar with the movies, and most in particular, the prequels. I really like the Revenge of the Sith. I really like that one.
That's probably top 5 favorite movies for me. And not just because of the memes, but because of the message it was trying to portray. It's not a perfect film by any means.
Yes,
but
I
it
know there's a
does.
lot of there's a lot
Yeah.
of issues with it.
Yeah.
But,
See, I know the prequels, the sequels, a couple of the books and the games, but as far as the rest of it, like I want to read a lot of the legacy books, but I can't find them. And
I've
it,
pretty much. Oh, sorry.
no, you're
Go
good.
ahead, finish. I was going to say, like, I've pretty much absorbed everything: the old canon, the new canon, all the movies, the books, the novels, even a few of the comics. Although I'm a bit behind. But yeah, I mean, there's a clear disconnect between the old canon and the new canon, which is totally nothing to do with this with this topic. But
Well, okay. The reason why is because Disney wanted to create their own Luke Skywalker.
Right.
That's why they created What's Her Face. They wanted to create their own heroine for the modern era. But the problem is, they decided to spit on the original.
right.
Would you say that's an example of woke culture, where they want to appeal to
Hmm.
all of those that are of the woke culture? And
No.
I think a lot of you know what that means. I don't necessarily want to
Yeah.
speak on it too much because I don't want to be what's the
Yeah.
word?
Canceled.
Yeah, there's a good one.
I don't think it's woke culture. I think it was chasing trends and trying to set a new standard at which they could start their own storylines. But the problem is that the first one that they started out with was just a gender bent New Hope. The second one broke the lore and decided to say things that just does not make sense. Rey was a Mary Sue that had all the powers, none of the training, and could just do whatever she wanted. And it made no sense. I'm sorry, but Rey Skywalker is just bad writing because they wanted to have a character to be able to do what they wanted it to do without giving them a reason or a way to show that they could actually do it naturally.
So, I think I've maybe seen that movie once, so I don't know too much about it. But is that the one with the Kylo Ren guy, or is that another movie?
Yes.
Yes.
It is with
And-
Kylo
guy.
Ren. Okay.
Yeah, and what's even worse is that there was already a book series following the kids of Han Solo and Leia Skywalker,
That was exactly where I was getting at with the old canon versus the new
and it
canon.
was so much better than anything than the Kylo Ren nonsense. There was a one like the storyline involving these two characters was so good, and they decided to create this Kylo Ren nonsense, and I'm just like, yeah, Disney Star Wars is dead to me. Like, the only thing good that they ever come out with was Rogue One, and even then it wasn't that great because it was a backstory to the opening scenes to the original Star Wars movie, and we already knew how that got there. So it's like there was no reason for them to make it other than them to say, okay, now we can start doing our own lore. If you
Yeah,
look at
but
what
that-
they did to Luke Skywalker compared to what he was in the original lore, they fucked him over.
That Darth Vader hallway scene, though, man. Come on.
Oh,
That is-
please. That's the only thing good about that movie, and they could have done that in a different way. I was more excited to see what they could have done with the Han Solo movie, but all they did was, here's the Cliff Notes, and then Darth Maul.
Yeah.
I'll have
I
to.
disagree.
Minimum, and I hate it.
Yeah, so I'll have to brush up on this Star Wars. Maybe I'll do this over the week or something. Because it seems that we
You're
do
not
talk
missing
about
anything.
these films. It seems that they come into our podcast quite a bit. So I don't understand them that much. You know what I mean? So
No, watch the original trilogy and then the prequel series, and that's all you really ever need to know. Because I despise the new trilogy, and the Rogue One and Han Solo movies are not good.
okay.
Yeah, I
Like, at
highly
all.
recommend watching them in release order, like he said. Originals first, then the prequels, then the sequels,
Okay.
and then everything else.
I wouldn't even watch the sequel series with Rey Skywalker. Like, honestly, just watch the original series and then the prequels.
So just the George Lucas movies.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm trying to think of
Because-
a mystical type fantasy movie that I enjoy, but I'm drawing a blank. But
Well,
I mean, Mission Impossible, that's the last movie I watched. Dead Reckoning Part 1. Really enjoyed it. I don't know if you guys like Mission Impossible or not, but that's
I
more
like
of
the
a.
with
original.
Tom Cruise.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
kind of a more based in
Yeah.
reality type of film. So,
I haven't watched a Mission Impossible movie since the very first one.
I watched the first 3.
first 3 are amazing. The
Yeah.
last one, I quite enjoyed it, but that's kind of. I don't think I really watch fantasy type movies very often. That's why I was saying I was trying to think of one to add to the lore here.
You know what? Since you played the clips, yesterday?
Oh,
Or was
Blade
it the day
Runner.
before?
Yeah, okay.
Blade Runner. Yes.
That's a good sci-fi movie. Watch
Yes.
the original, not the remake.
Oh, I've watched them both, and I've got to say,
too.
respectfully, I prefer 2049. I appreciate the plot of the original, and I think it's amazing. Videography is great. The effects, the makeup, all of that is great. Love Harrison Ford. But I can relate, as many people can, I'm sure, maybe our age and younger, to the protagonist, Officer K, in Blade Runner 2049. But I also like the feeling of loneliness, being surrounded by people, but still at the same time feeling alone. And I think that's something we can, especially in modern society.
I definitely can relate to that.
So let me put past this little activity real quick because we've got about just under 20 minutes remaining. And again, I'm not going to have you guys do this activity, but essentially it's about developing resilience and emotional regulation by mindfully exposing yourself to loud or distracting noises. So, something that really bothers you, essentially. And in essence, it's about putting yourself in that situation and just being an observer to it. Observing, but not allowing it to inundate you. And thinking of it as just part of nature. It's like a thunder or cars going by on the street or something like that. So would you say that you guys, how do you handle something that bothers you? What is your technique? Do you view it as something natural just occurring, or do you let it inundate you and stress you out?
It depends on on the thing that's bothering me.
Yeah.
If I'm able to walk away from it or not.
I mean, things like thunder or cars going by. I mean, that's just a regular part of everyday life.
I mean, like somebody
things like
bothering you. How would you deal with that?
I mean, I tended to say.
You tend to what? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think your audio cut out there for a second. I was looking over at my network to make sure that there wasn't an issue here. I think your phone cut out a second. But we heard part of it. Let's say again.
Dissociate.
Dissociate. Okay.
Yes.
So detach yourself.
Right. Correct.
Okay. How do you do that?
Very much just a coping mechanism.
And you talked earlier today about some stresses that were bothering you, other than your car, some other things, which I won't say on the stream. But
yeah, please don't.
No, trust me, man. I'm very mindful of that. So, I
just tend to.
You dissociate.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to try to bring my mind to other places, more happier places, and I don't necessarily have, the quote unquote happy place, but I try to just drown that noise out with something that I enjoy, whether it's, putting my earbuds in and listening to music, or going in the other room and actually playing music, or maybe put on a movie, or
so would you say
watch
escapism
television or something? Yeah, escapism. Yes, that's a good term. Yes.
Okay.
I essentially just either start paying attention to what's playing in my earbuds, or I just go into a mental fantasy scape and just start building my own reality to distract myself while the bullshit's happening around me.
Very good techniques. And I appreciate you guys giving your feedback on there.
Yeah.
Very good.
Are y'all able to imagine, like, if you was to say, close your eyes and think of a red ball, would you see a red ball in your imagination, or just
I just did.
words.
I just did, yeah,
Yeah.
and my eyes are open.
Yeah, me too. I instantly saw a red rubber ball. That's what I saw.
Yes.
See, and there are some people out there that can't do that.
Hmm.
That can't create a mental image. To them, their mind is just completely without any form of within thought.
I would
or
say that would
within
almost be a
imagery.
cognitive deficit, I would think.
Yeah. I kind of feel sorry for those people.
Yeah.
But what's surprising is there's far more people that are like that than you think.
Hmm. Probably,
And-
especially with mental illness, I would imagine.
No, it has more to do with who is able to be an artist or not.
Okay, that's a
Okay,
good
so
way to
left
look
brain,
at
right,
it.
left brain, right brain, or right brain.
Yes.
Left brain, right.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
I can't tell if it's a right brain versus left brain type people. I can't say whether that is real. I don't know the science behind it, but
Neurophysiology, neurobiology, yeah.
But the idea that someone within their own brain cannot create a reality in which they can control outside of like lucid dreaming is something I can't comprehend because I've always been able to mentally create images and things to interact with when things are bothering me or when if I just are completely bored. Like if I'm bored, I can just go off into La La Land and daydream and disassociate from everything around me.
Yeah.
I can kind of do the same.
For me, I
But-
very much take in my environment, and unfortunately, it affects me. I guess you could say I'm very, what you would call a sensitive. So I'm very, I'm like a sponge. I soak in everything, and it becomes my reality. So that's something that is a problem for me, especially when I'm experiencing stress, because I become the stress. So
In my own case, it's very much a combination of both of those things. It's yes, I'm a sponge to the world around me, spatial awareness, but it's also when things get tough, you kind of want to, get through that mental block and try to imagine a world where things are not a problem.
and very hard to
can
do.
Sometimes, yeah, it can sometimes be a challenging thing to differentiate between reality and that mental landscape that you've placed upon yourself. So yeah, I can see it both ways. Absolutely.
My biggest issue is I don't know when to slow down and just stop because when I'm at work, I work, and as I'm doing, I'm just doing, and it's just go 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 go, and it's because I'm task oriented. If people are dragging me behind,
Same here. I chill with it all the time.
That's my biggest stressor is that if I'm doing something, don't bother me, let me get it done. If you're gonna bother me, I'm gonna lose focus and I can't get shit done.
Yeah, I'm very much the same way.
Well, see, that's leadership characteristics. That's managerial characteristics. That means that you can lead. You know what needs to be done.
Yeah,
Yourself.
No, I'm not a good leader because I get pissed off
Are ya?
way too
Okay.
easy.
Same.
It can be difficult, especially when people are very contrastingly different to your own self. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Speaking, I wanted to bring back an old movie that I just thought of.
Yeah, we got about 11 minutes, so let's kind of just do a free form discussion. I think for the last little bit here. Does that sound
Okay.
fine?
Do y'all remember the movie Legend?
Oh my gosh,
It
dude!
was Tim
I was
Curry as
just
the
watching.
devil.
That was.
Oh, yes.
It's on YouTube for free. I don't know if it still
Oh my
is.
God, I love that movie. It's a weird just. Oh, I did get.
I only
did
watched
watch-
like 15 minutes of it. It was just like they were in the forest and there was a girl and
It's a cheesy fantasy. The hero saves the damsel in distress type of thing. It's cheese fantasy. It's great.
the only
Okay, so
reason
I'm gonna
I
ask a
watched it is
question.
because it had Tom Cruise in it. I'm a fan of Tom Cruise.
I'm going to ask a question real quick, completely off topic, but do you guys know what the best sound in the world is?
What the hell? Was that a
What was
fart?
that?
I can't get that loud.
The best sound in the world is this.
Couldn't hear it. It would sound like a
Oh, well,
can opening.
that was exactly what it was.
Okay,
Anyways, sorry, continue.
there's another film that if you like grim fairy tales, but with a weird, twisted, dreamlike quality, Blood Tea and Red String.
Blood Tea and Red String?
Yes,
What a unique title.
it is a silent, stop animation film that took
Okay.
15 years for this single person to create.
Holy crap. Stop
Yeah.
animation's very
Talk about
freaky.
dedication.
Like the Terminator. You guys know the first Terminator film.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Cool, man.
But no, if you want like a grim, dark fairy tale mixed with a fever dream, watch that. It did really well in the festival circuit. I don't know how far it went beyond that, but it's a trip.
You mean
of
Sundance? Sundance Festival?
I don't think it did. I don't know if it did that festival. I know it did the festival circuit, so I know it's an indie film. It never got any real big popularity as far as like the big companies go or anything like that. So, but
There's
it's
some,
worth it if you can find it.
There's some really good indie films out there. Good Time with Robert Pattinson is one of my favorites. There's that other one with Adam Sandler where he's the jewel thief or whatever. I forget the name of that one, but
Oh, Uncut Jewels?
yeah,
Or Uncut Gems?
something like that. Yeah,
Uncut Gems.
but it's by A24, I think, is the studio. They're the same one that did Good Time with Robert Pattinson.
I've heard a lot of A24 films have been doing really good.
Yeah, they are,
So-
man. They're really, really good. They have that they have the videography feel of like Breaking Bad, like that really raw. You're
Like
in
early
there,
Blumhouse
you know what I
before
mean?
they became
Like it's
corporate.
you're not watching something,
Yeah.
but you're in it, kind of a feeling.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
very good way to do it.
Oh, there's another film that I was wanting to bring by y'all's attention while
You'll
I
have
got
to
y'all
share some of
together.
these in our thread as well, Nicro, and I'll have
Yes,
to
of
check them
course.
out during the week. Give me a movie to watch during the night, you know?
All right. Well, like I said, that Blood Tea and Red String, I think, could give you a really good thought-provoking.
Okay.
Now, the storyline is all visual. There is no spoken word,
Ah,
written text throughout the entire film.
okay. Well, that's a different way to view something, but I can,
It's a trip.
yeah, it sounds like it. What is, speaking of a trip, what is that, Anastasia or that old Disney movie with,
It's not Disney.
Yes.
It's not
Yeah.
Disney. I know what you're thinking of, but it's not Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
but that
it's made by,
Anastasia movie with like whales flying in the sky or whatever, like that was pretty trippy as well.
It was made by the Steve Bloom thing. It was one of the last things his studio did before they went under. It was a Fox Studios film. I love the Anastasia film. The music in that is so great.
Top notch.
So,
I used to own the soundtrack.
do you use your what, Manic?
I used to own the soundtrack to that movie when I was a kid.
Oh,
Same.
cool.
So did I.
So,
That died. Oh my god, I love that song.
so outside of movies, are there any particular TV shows or Netflix or whatever? This kind of relates back to the earlier part of our chat here with the seeing yourself as that person or feeling empathy. Really, is what it is. You know, Nicro getting
I mean,
so
I'm
upset
so
at what you're reading,
disconnected.
putting your book down. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, when Canterbury was put through that bit of just heinous, oh, I got angry. If you want to watch a good Yes. It's about the Vikings in the Viking Age, and
Isn't there a
they're
show called
in
Vikings on like
Yes.
There is.
AMC? I think.
FX. It's either FX or AMC. I forget which. I
Yeah.
watched the first season of that. It was really good.
Hmm. I've seen it has really good reviews. Yeah, I've never seen it though. They always show
I
that
watched-
blonde guy with. I guess he's like one of
Yeah.
the main characters. But
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the tied up ponytail
Yes.
looking thing, but it's shaved on the sides.
yes,
yeah.
yes. I love that hairstyle. To be honest with you, I think it's a badass hairstyle. That's kind of what drew me to it. I'm like, wow, it looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, I watched the first season, but then I lost access to normal television and just have not gone back.
Ah, I gotcha.
But if you want a good thought-provoking series to watch on Netflix, Vinland Saga is great. The first season is really action-packed and fast-paced, and then the second season just sort of slows down and just hits you with emotions like a ton of bricks. It's so worth watching.
Those are really good moments in a film or a TV show where you can really get emotionally involved. Again, empathy. You know, you can really feel for the person, and it evokes those emotions and it really draws you in, doesn't it? So,
Oh yeah,
very good.
and
Yeah.
I really like the messaging behind the Vinland Saga, and it's worth watching. It's another one of those like Berserk. Berserk is worth reading if you ever get the chance.
Okay. Yeah, some of these, like I said, you're going to have to share them because very unique titles. I don't know if I'm going to remember them, but I do want to look them up. And Manic, add another thing in here or two if you'd like, man. We've got about 3 minutes. I'm going to grab a drink, but I'm going to be switching here in a moment. But go ahead and add something if you would, if you'd like to.
Oh well, I mean, I don't really have anything in mind.
Okay.
I'm so disconnected from television and things like that that nothing comes to mind
Music, maybe?
that hasn't already been said. Well, same thing.
Okay.
I've been listening to the same 12 bands for the past 20 years.
And see, I've been trying to expand out what my music tastes have been, and honestly, I've been listening to a lot more foreign music than American music.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Avatar, I love them. Nightwish, I've been in love with that band for years.
Yeah,
The
I've
Who is
never
the
heard
most
of
recent.
these artists. I'm more of like an
wow.
alternative rock. I like hip hop as well. So like Bush, Collective Soul, Rolling Stones, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, I love me some Red Hot Chili Peppers. But no, Nightwish is opera and metal mashed together.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Oh my god, it's great. They've had like 3 different lead female singers, and each one had their own unique sound and style that they brought to the band, and it's just great. Coheed and Cambria is a great band if you want an album that tells a story.
I think Tool, if you're familiar with Tool, I think that's kind of what they did as well
Oh,
with
yeah.
a lot of their.
Tool is getting ready to come out with a new album, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think it was like the Lazarus or Lazarus. I can't remember. Like
Parabellum.
it was an album from like the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001, 2. Lateralis, I think is what it was called, something like that.
Yeah. I've been waiting for a new Tool album since Pot. I love that song. That song's great.
Well, guys, we're just about at that 1 hour mark, so I gotta say it's very
what
interesting.
Dreamcast games are you playing?
I have in the console right now Headhunter. It's a European. It was only released in Europe. The United States version was never released, but later it was released, I think, on GameCube. But I have the Dreamcast version in there. I'm about to fire this console up, and I might play a couple of Dreamcast games to try it out. So, but I got Headhunter in there first, and that's what I'm going to play first. So,
Alrighty.
Yeah.
I'll stick around for that.
yeah, this capture card also has HDMI, so I can also plug in my Xbox and my Xbox One and my PlayStation 4 at some point in time. But Tonight's just going to be
That's cool.
Xbox. But anyways, this wraps it up for the podcast with Kai Unity Kai, ManicProfessor, and Nicrowassassin on Ontology. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
All right. See ya.
All right, guys.
Have a good night.
See ya.
See ya. Alrighty. My name is Kai Unity Kai, and I'm going to play a little bit of Sega Dreamcast. I'm going to get started here in just a second. Do have to use the restroom very quickly. And I'm going to try out, what is it? Headhunter. Might also try out, if I have some time, Dead or Alive 2 or Jet Set Radio, I think is the version, the Dreamcast version, Jet Set Radio. But anyhow, I'll be right back in just a second, and then I'll boot up the Dreamcast. So I'll be right back. Alrighty, hello, I am back. So I'm going to go ahead and put on some Dreamcast. Try it out. So, and Manic, it was a good chat. This is a good video. Andrew, thank you. All right, so I've got the capture card plugged in. Let's go ahead and start her up. So, can you hear the volume on the Dreamcast? I unfortunately cannot hear it, and I'm not sure how I would. Because it's feeding through the capture card. Well, you can hear it because I can see it, but I cannot hear it, unfortunately. Yes, so I can see that you can hear it, but I can't hear it. So I'm thinking that I might need to. I don't know how I could hear it. This is military time as well, and shit. What is 8:05 p.m. in military time? I don't know. I think I don't know. Let's just put it there. But anyways, I can't hear it, but you guys can, and that's because it's coming through right on the capture card into OBS. But I'm trying to figure out how I would hear this, and I think what I would need to do is I would have to plug it into the TV, I think. Feed it through there. I don't know. But I can't hear it, so. And I'm not quite sure how I would hear it. Maybe I would have to create a second audio channel, maybe? I'm going to look at this real quick. I'm not going to change anything, but I just want to look at this. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure how I would set this, but... oh well. It is what it is, I suppose. That's a little bit loud. I'll turn that down. So I'm going to have to figure out how I can get the sound to feed over to me. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. Yeah, still too loud on the capture card here. There we go. So how the heck would I get it to where I can hear the sound? Gonna have to figure it out. I'll have to do some research after the stream and see if I can figure this out.
Hi, I'm Bill Waverly.
And I'm Kate Gloss with All You Want to Know.
Top of the news.
I don't know how Dan does it,
champion in the war
but I'm
against
assuming he
crime.
can hear the sound when he
President
plays, I would
Clinton
imagine.
Today announced formation of the anti-crime network.
But I mean, it makes
an
sense
elite
because the
force of
audio
private
is
law
going through the
enforcement
capture
operatives
card.
to be
So
headed by
I
millionaire industrialist
would have to
and
plug
political
a
heavyweight Christopher Stern. With
headphones into
funds
the
from
capture card, I
government,
would
business,
guess.
and the midweek lottery, the ACN promises a billion-dollar crackdown on organized crime and safer streets for you and me.
In other news, Governor Hernandez apologizes for global warming, promising a statewide hot air initiative. How he plans to achieve his targets.
It's official. Privatized is best. Following last year's Armed Forces sell-off,
But,
and financial
it
success
kinda
of
sucks
the
without
Mideast
having the
war,
sound, though.
the ACN is extending its crime-fighting capability with private contractors specially trained to hunt down wanted felons. ACN Chief Christopher Stern said the new Headhunters will be Layla certified and fully insured, promising to deliver more bang for your buck.
Meanwhile, more power to the elbow of concerned parents with new laws prohibiting all public displays of human or animal violence. You know, Bill, my dog just
Sure, there's a
hates
way,
violence.
but I
We could
think
learn
what
a
I'll
lot
have to
from
do is
dumb
maybe
animals
create,
today.
like I said, a second
Next
audio
up,
channel,
movie
maybe.
madness in Muskoka. Every school kid knows
But
the
I'll have to
value of
figure this
life,
out
eh?
next for next
But how about
time.
a life of crime? From today,
Because
all
if I
wanted
use the
felons are
Xbox
to
and
have
PlayStation
bail
4, it's going to be the
bonds
same
set by
problem.
government, with values listed on the criminal exchange. More crimes and worse crimes see the bail figure rise. Rehab sees it fall. Successful headhunters receive 10% of the bail, the rest going to meet ACN costs.
Also, I don't have a memory card
Felons
plugged in. I
unable to
have a
meet
memory card, but I
bail
don't have it
face
plugged in.
compulsory organ donation. Kate? Recycling is the order of the day. Now crime fighters have got the message with new organ-friendly weapons set to replace old-fashioned firearms. Superior to conventional weapons in range and accuracy, the electric neural projectile, or ENP
So this game
gun,
was released
attacks
in
the
Europe
target's nervous system, causing
on the
severe
Dreamcast.
pain and eventual brain death.
It wasn't ever
without
released in the United
damaging
States on the
much-needed
Dreamcast.
internal organs, safeguarding
But it was
supplies
released,
for
I think it was on the
hardworking citizens
GameCube.
and their families. From today, possession of conventional firearms is illegal.
Well, that's great, Bill. Those old guns were really nasty. And in tonight's lifestyle feature, we ask synthetic versus natural implants. When it comes to organs, can you beat the real thing?
Latest figures show.
And this
CCS
video is
criminal
part of the game,
control
of course.
system
So
has been a big
they're just kind of
success
giving you,
since
telling
the
you the
government
story of the
licensed
world,
technology from
the world that this
Biotech
game takes place
Corporation.
in.
The CCS subcranial biochip implant uses neural redirection to suppress criminal urges and dampen aggression. Future models could include thought monitoring and reconstruction, limiting the subject's freedom to think and act.
Sounds great to you and me, but one person not so happy is
Sure glad, though,
mysterious
that
recluse John Fulci.
these latest
The
updates I
suspected
did
crime lord
fix everything. Last
interrupted
time I did a
night's
stream,
lottery
it
draw
had 2
with an illegal
crashes.
broadcast in which he denounced the ACN's crime-fighting initiatives.
I believe these measures threaten our great democracy. Christopher Stern is a dictator, and the ACN.
But what I'll try to do is do this one for about another 20 some odd minutes, and then I'll pop another Dreamcast game and do a couple of them, because I'm only gonna do in total a 2-hour stream, so it's like another
With bail
45
bonds
minutes.
rising, every child knows
So-
crime pays. But little Jimmy Brown of Orange
There we go,
County
little Jimmy Brown of Orange County,
2 million
going to 2 million
by
credits.
Informing on his dad and his uncle.
Freaking
both wanted
early
felons.
2000s aesthetic.
Nationwide, informants contributed to another record low in crime figures, with many felons turning in criminal associates.
Well, it just goes to show no one's all bad, Bill. Meanwhile, ACN Chief Christopher Stern today appointed protege and former assistant Alan Sharp agency vice president.
But I'm trying to
Known
figure
as a
out how,
hardliner, Sharp championed the 3 strikes and your organs are out penalty
how I
for
would get
repeat
audio.
offenders and promises more of the same.
In breaking news,
I suppose
a
what I
leading
could
citizen
do
was murdered at his death.
is just run
Full
the
victim
stereo
profile and
speaker on the
Facebook
computer.
feature in our next bulletin.
Then I could hear
For
it.
now, I'm Bill Waverly.
And
So
I'm
maybe
Kate
that's what I'll have to
Cross,
do,
and that's
maybe.
all you need to know.
The only problem with that is it might pick up the audio on the microphone. So, I don't know. I'll have to look into it. So I don't have a memory card plugged in, so I'm just not going to use a memory or any saves or anything. So I'll have to find the memory card later. But yeah, it's a unique game, and like I noted, this was only released in the European region for the Dreamcast. In North America, it was later released, I think, on the Nintendo
Increase to
GameCube.
500 megahertz. Subject is conscious. Security, it's the alarm. We have a situation. Subject is dangerous. Close all exits.
resolution for the Dreamcast. And it's 480 by 600 or something like that, I think. This capture card does 800 by 600, so essentially you can see more on the screen, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a better quality, but to me it doesn't really look like that great of a quality. But then again, it's a Dreamcast, so it could just be that. Oh man, the control stick on the Dreamcast. Honestly, not that bad. But I will say not having sound is problem. So there's two things that I can think of without researching it. Like I said, it's either running it through the stereo of the computer or setting a second audio channel. But I'm glad that it at least comes through on the stream, which of course it would, but I want to hear it as well, you know? It's really odd to sit here in silence and just see the game on the screen. But good little capture card. It's a budget capture card, but it has AV and HDMI both, so...
Who are you? Please, I can't remember.
Patient's name is Jack Wade. Found unconscious in the parking lot of an industrial park a week ago. In and out of metabolic coma the past 3 days. Gunshot trauma to the leg.
It does seem, though, that the resolution is foggy, I guess. I don't know how to put it, but could be the way that I have it
rehab. Mental stimulation.
Sized, I guess? I don't know.
A daughter and a nation say farewell. Christopher Stern, founder and father figure of the ACN, was buried today in Arlington National Cemetery. Among the mourners, distraught Angela Stern was comforted by Alan Sharp, recently elected
but I'm
ACN
thinking it
Vice
might come
President
through.
And Stern's chosen successor.
See if I,
Christopher Stern was far
what happens
more
if I
than
unplug my headphones here.
And I'm honored to build on the foundations he laid. Decades
No,
of
it does
criminality
not
have
come
been
through
reversed.
the
Organized crime is in
speaker
retreat.
audio on the
We
computer.
can do much more. Closer cooperation between the ACN and biotech will allow ever greater control.
So I'm going to have to figure this out, how the heck I can hear it at the same time.
Criminal thoughts. The war is only just beginning.
Meanwhile, debate still rages over who was responsible
Just don't know
for
how I
Stern's
would do that.
assassination.
Not
Many
off the top
pointing
of
the
my
finger
head.
At self-styled Don Emilio Fulci. Thought to have links with a criminal syndicate, little is known about Fulci. Never seen in public, his appearance remains shrouded in mystery.
I suppose what I
ACN
could do
raid on
is
offices of
link it
one of
into the
Fulci's
TV,
business interests revealed
and
no
then that way
trace
I
of
could
the
hear
elusive
it,
criminal magnate.
and then run a HDMI cord from the TV to the capture card. Maybe that would work? I don't know. Because that way I could hear it, and then it would capture what's being broadcast from the TV, if that makes sense.
No change at the top of the
So I don't know.
Headhunter League, however. Hank Redwood bringing in 3 most wanteds for his 5th successive #1 ranking. Redwood's had his critics, but it seems there's no question now that he's
second best. You were the best, Wade.
Do I know you?
Maybe this'll jog your memory. Smith & Easton Stimulator, ENP automatic. Clip size?
10 rounds.
Muzzle velocity?
850.
Payload?
Combined neurostimulants and motor cortex scrambler, producing incapacity and eventual brain death.
Like riding a bike. I'm Chief Frank Hawk, and you, Wade, were my #1 headhunter. 8 years, top of the league for 6. More captures than the rest of them put together.
I'm a regular hero.
And now you're fired. For life. Sorry, Wade, but it's orders. They don't even tell me why. Times are changing. Maybe if we knew what happened to you...
You're asking the wrong guy.
That's too bad. You could go independent. You'd have to pass the Layla test, but you'd get a weapon and a VM. Wouldn't give access to classified files, but it'd be a start.
Back to school, huh?
With an ENP gun in your hand, it could be worse.
All right, so Mr. ManicProfessor provided me a tutorial, so I will look at that later.
Word of warning. You've woken up with quite a few enemies.
But he
wouldn't trust anyone
showed me a tutorial there, and it's the same thing I was thinking, but he clarified it.
Anyone.
So that way I can create an audio channel where I can also hear it. But for tonight, I'm not going to worry about it because I don't want to mess anything up, you know? So I'll just have to do it later. But I'm going to have to create a second audio channel, I think is what it looks like.
Jack Wade. Jack Wade?
Stern? Angela Stern?
You know my name.
Restart OBS.
I watch TV.
For these changes to take effect.
I saw your father's funeral.
Configure each of your audio outputs to come out either stream only, monitor only.
I want you to help me,
which is
Mr.
your
Wade.
headphones, or both.
I want you
see.
to find the man who killed my father. I want Don Fulci to be sorry too.
How do you know it was Don Fulci?
Stream only, monitor only,
or... He
or...
stood for. Call it a hunch.
Why don't you tell it to the ACM?
They want to see him behind bars. I want to see him dead.
I'm not an executioner.
Dang.
You don't know what you are. Retrograde amnesia, remember? Outside of the killer, you were the last person to see my father alive. His diary shows you
So
how
let me see if I can figure this out midstream here with the audio. I don't want to mess anything up, so I'll be very careful.
Find my father's killer, and maybe you'll find out what happened to you.
I'll think about it.
Don't think too long. I'd say medical expenses are running at a kidney donation already.
Okay, so it looks like it's going to be on the
You can spend the
audio
rest of your life
side.
hunting lowlifes, or crack the case of the decade for a handsome fee.
How handsome?
$2 million on delivery of Fulci.
What about an advance?
My assets are frozen until
I
my
see,
father's
okay.
case is closed. You'll have to trust me.
I heard that before.
Hey, there we go! I figured it out!
Remembered.
That's a good sign. Get well soon.
Yeah!
Jack. And when you do, come pay me a visit.
Got it!
Some place you have here.
I grew up in this house. It seemed real big and exciting then. But now... I'll get us an X-Must. Take a look around. Maybe some of Daddy's ACN stuff could help jog your memory.
Cool. So I can hear the sound now. Sweet. Awesome. Freaking awesome. So yeah, I noticed that it put 2 channels up. It created a desktop audio channel for it. So what I did is I just muted the desktop audio channel, and I just have the capture card audio channel coming out. But now I can hear it in my headphones, and it's coming through for you guys. So that was a very easy fix. And shout out to ManicProfessor for giving me the tutorial on that. So it's perfect. I can hear it and everything. And it comes out on the capture card. So now the only thing is just to figure out the resolution. Because the resolution doesn't look that sharp. But what I'm thinking is it could just be because the Dreamcast is a very low resolution. So I don't know. But I might do some tinkering with the resolution, like apply some filters, some graphics filters. So that's the same thing I've done to this camera. This camera is I think it's a 480p resolution, but I put filters on it that like sharpens it, so it kind of makes it like look more similar to 720p when it's not. So that's kind of what I was thinking I will do for the Dreamcast. Apply some filters and kind of sharpen it, if that makes sense. So, all right. Well, cool. Works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a drink, and unfortunately we didn't get to see much of this game, but that's okay. We saw the introduction of it. I'm going to pop in another game real quick because I've got about a half an hour left. So, but this is Headhunter, and it's a very good game. But maybe I'll play it and like just give the attention only to this at some point in time. So, hey Drift, how's it going? So, I will grab a drink, and I'm going to switch the game. Doing all right, Drift. How are you doing? It's the weekend, yeah. For me, I only get Saturday, so I'm busy on Sundays, but I at least get Saturday. But it's not really a day off because I'm, going shopping to get food and making meals, my meal prep. But it's still a day off, I guess. But only one day off. At least I got my schoolwork done for today. I'm in my new class. My new class is Introduction to Sociology, which I'm very well versed in, but that's my new class. So. But that's part of my degree for health sciences. So I've already taken 2 classes, and I have a 4.0 GPA. Yeah. Essentially, I have straight A's. I don't mean to boast or anything, but I knew I would because I do very well. So, yeah, I did Headhunter earlier, Manic, but I'm going to finish the stream. I have a half an hour left, 30 minutes. So I'm going to finish the stream with a little bit of Shenmue 2. And Manic, your tip helped immediately, like I told you. I could hear the audio coming through at my end, and it's also coming out onto the stream. So, thanks for your tip there. I was telling everybody else as well that your little tutorial there fixed it, man. I could hear it. So, awesome. So next week, I was going to do the Xbox 360, because I have HDMI on this capture card as well, and I was going to play Silent Hill Downpour. That's what I'll do after the podcast, and we'll talk about the podcast topic, what we'll do next week as well. I didn't have to restart, Manic. It worked without restarting. I just set the setting and it worked right away, so even better. But thank you so much for giving me the tips there. I've seen those settings before, but I didn't think of that. So thank you for giving me those tips, because I can hear it now. So awesome. And by the way, I've only used this Dreamcast like maybe 15 times. And I've had this Dreamcast since 2013. So this is an over, I don't know how old this Dreamcast is. I got it from somebody else, but I have had this Dreamcast for 10 plus years, and I've used it like 15 times at most. So, very good. The parts are still really good in it, like the GD-ROM drive and everything. Yes, instant flashbacks. And I've seen those settings you're talking about before as well, like monitor only or output only, like in the past. But I didn't think of that. I was thinking of like creating another audio channel or using the speaker. But, got it figured out, man. Awesome. And I don't have a memory card in here. But I have a memory card. It's somewhere in the closet, I think. But it's not a VMU. It's one of those big memory cards, like double the space. It's just a memory card only. But I do have one, so I'll have to find it. Yes, and I've had 3 or 4 Dreamcasts through the years, Manic, off and on. And yours from 2001 is still running. That is very surprising. But I've had like 3 or 4 Dreamcasts throughout the years. I've gotten rid of them, traded them in for a new console. But this is the last one that I got, and I got it around 2013, so. And I also have an Xbox 360, an Xbox One, and a PlayStation 4. And next week, like I said, I'll do the Xbox 360 and play Silent Hill Downpour. Because this capture card allows AV input for the Dreamcast and also allows HDMI. But thank you so much again for the 3rd or 4th time now, but I'm just very appreciative because I can hear the audio now. And I wasn't thinking of the way to output this. So no memory card, so I'm not going to be saving, obviously, but that's okay. I'll find my memory card for next time I play the Dreamcast. So Shenmue 2 was not released in North America. It was only released in Europe. You had to import it, and that's what I did. And I also imported a region changer disc to change the region from NTSC to PAL so I could play it. And then later, it was released via the original Xbox. and then later on the PC. But this version is the European version. And it must have a patch to where it patches it on PAL or whatever, because I didn't put in I have a Utopia boot disk to change the region, but I didn't have to do that. So the region changer must be built into the files of this disk. So that's pretty cool. About the Lost Mode chapter, yeah. With Chai, I think his name is. There was a comic book for that, though. I think in this game, in Shenmue 2, if you do certain objectives, you can get a comic book, and it'll show you the story about when Ryo was on the boat with Chai. So it's hard to adjust this volume, but I think that's probably good. Manga, that's right, yeah. Oh man, these low resolution textures. Oh man. But it's authentic, so it's kind of cool, you know. So 1987. Good year. Yep, 1987 Drift. It's a good year. Good year indeed. Yeah, that would be my year. That's why I say that. Should be unlocked using the camera feature. Got the Casino Bug Chapter DLC though, freeware. Okay, so let me change the controls. There we go. Put some money in it or bring good luck.
旦那様、どちらへいらっしゃるので？
ああ、ワンチャイという場所を探しています。
ワンチャイならあちらでございます。
ありがとうございます。
So, I like this version because it is Japanese dialogue, audio, with English patches. So, really cool. So, I'm not gonna sell my lighters, which is what you would do if you've played Shenmue. You would sell your lighters because your bag gets stolen, so you want to be able to sell your lighters to the pawn shop later to get your money back, or to recoup some of it anyways, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pretend like I'm a new player. But yeah, the Dreamcast resolution is really not that great. But I might do some tinkering, like I was explaining earlier, to sharpen it up a little bit, maybe. Like apply a Lancoast filter to it, perhaps. But it's running at a higher resolution through the capture card. Like the Dreamcast native resolution is lower than what this capture card outputs for this resolution. But this capture card outputs to 4K. But this system doesn't support 4K, obviously.
こちらこそ船が怖くて泣いてばかりだったこの子によくしていただいて、それじゃあどうか気をつけて。さよならお兄ちゃん。
Yeah, I
さよなら。
saw that message, Freeware. Pretty crazy, man. But you can look back on this and be like, holy crap, man, I went through that, you know? So, in a way, it's an experience, I guess, right? Even though it's definitely not fun. Okay, so he's just gonna say, give me hints, so I'm just gonna skip this. I think there is a forklift back here. Oh, a winning can! Winning can! Didn't know there was one in Hong Kong. Flashbang, what? Yeah, Freeware had a little experience there earlier. Okay, so is this a pawn shop flyer? I believe it is. Yep. And I think there's also a forklift in that drawer, if I remember correctly. I think there's a forklift in there. Is there a forklift? I think there is. Yep.
No,
Forklift up. So, oh man, I was honestly thinking about moving to Japan. Like, their cost of living there is quite affordable. And not only that, Japanese people are so kind. They're so empathetic and so compassionate and so kind. Don't open until you're able to actually work and gain income. That I cannot quite remember. And I played this game so many times throughout the years too, on Dreamcast, PC. So I'm adjusting the volume a little bit. It's hard to choose a good volume threshold. But yes, next week I'm gonna do the Xbox 360 and do Silent Hill Downpour. So. But a very good game, and the thing about it is, Manic and Nicrowassassin and myself were speaking about this on an earlier podcast. But you can only experience that one sensation one time. Like the first time you play a game, you know, you can experience that, but it's hard to recreate it. It's almost like a drug addict and recreating a high. Could be as early as the second day, but it seems like that is the case. It's been a good 3 or 4 years. Yes. I've played it before 3 or 4 years, but I can't quite remember the dynamics of the pawn shop when they opened. Hand your money over to this guy? Yeah, I'm gonna do it too.
Ah. Yosha, so konakucha. Nii-chan Nipponjin daro. Namae wa?
Ryo. Hazuki Ryo da.
Hazuki Ryo ka. Yoshi. Sa, aitta aitta. 熱血野郎の登場だ 日本からやってきた
サムライ
サムライボーイはずき対戦者はリングを血に染めたメキシコの極悪レスラーヒメネス・ガルシャ
Went and played 1 and 2 like 8 times back to back. Got to play them again for a decade.
頼んでない
Yeah, there's just that special, unique experience that you can't recreate it. You can't. Hold on, let me... A, okay.
Fight!
There we go.
Yes.
We didn't really need to do this, but it's, I guess, part of the story, so... Alright, got about 14 minutes remaining, so I'm wondering if I should pop in one more Dreamcast game, and I think I will. Because I'm not saving anyway. I've got to find my memory card in my closet, so... but like I said, it's not a VMU, it's one of those big old memory cards with a ton of space. And all it is memory, that's it. Just memory. It's like double the size of a VMU. I think it's like 128 megabytes or something like that. But I'll find that so I can start saving games. But for now, I can't save anything because I don't have a memory card plugged in. So what I'll do is put in one more game real quick. Yeah, and I understand that. Because when you do take some time and step away from it for a little bit, it kind of renews your first experience a little bit, kind of. Especially if it is for a time. So, you know, like the Silent Hill Downpour that I want to do next week. I haven't played that in years. So for me, it will be kind of like a first-time experience again. So, all right, I'll put one more game in. All right, this will be the last game. I'll do about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to leave about a minute and a half to wind down with. So this is the international version of Sonic Adventure. This is like a demo disc of sorts. This was the very first game I had with the Sega Dreamcast, was Sonic Adventure. But yes, this is Sonic Adventure International. It's like a demo kind of thing. It's a limited edition. It's a little bit different than the commercial release. Yeah. I am a huge fan of the original as well. I really like Sonic Adventure 2 as, I like that one a lot as well, and I also have that one too. Okay, I'm gonna turn this down just a tad because it looks like the audio is getting a little bit loud. Like I said, it's kind of hard to find a good medium there. Okay, well there you go. And that's the one that I'm playing. I have another version as well, but this is the international release. Yeah, so that's what this one is. But I think on the main menu it calls it limited edition, I think. We'll see here in just a second. Yeah, limited edition. Brings back memories, yes. Rift, it does for me as well. But yes, limited edition is what it refers to it as.
Let's get him!
So it was a re-release. I thought it was like a demo of sorts. So also there's DLC that I can do. But I have to get an SD card reader for the Dreamcast. Dream Shell it's called. And I can plug it into the back of the Dreamcast in this serial port, I think it is. And I can load files on the computer and then plug it into the Dreamcast and load them into the Dreamcast. Like load DLC. There's DLC for this game. Like Halloween and Christmas, like holiday stuff. Yeah, so this is limited edition. About 3 versions. Yeah, so I guess if it were international, I probably would have maybe said it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, you saw it on the title screen. It's limited edition. So that's why I think it's like a demo. Or was a demo.
You are completely surrounded! Surrender yourself! Lock on target, men! Ready? Fire!
So I want to say it was like, if you remember Hollywood Video, you could rent a console for the weekend. And when you rented a console, this is the version of Sonic Adventure that you got. Like a demo version.
Yeah! This could be fun!
Because this version is definitely not finished. Because you had mentioned bug fixes. There's bugs in this version. Particularly when you get down into the sewer later in the game, like when you get the upgrade. You have trouble getting out of the sewer because one of the rings is missing in the pathway that you use your light path. So you jet into the wall.
Hey, I'll play with you some other time.
Yes, it was a kiosk disc. Yeah, that's what it was. So that's what this is. That's what I was thinking as well. American version re-release. So yeah, it's a kiosk disc is what this is then. Because there is a bug in this. There's a few bugs.
Come on, you big drip.
But like when you go down into the sewer, you know, to get the light shoes, when you have to jet out of the sewer, there's a ring missing. So when you jet up the path, you like stop and slam into the wall, if that makes sense. You have to do it very carefully so you can get out of the sewer. Yeah. So this does have bugs.
You know nothing, fool! It's Chaos, the god of destruction!
Still completely playable, though. You just have to work with it, you know, like I said. When you get down into the sewer to get the light shiz, you just have to hit it at a certain angle and you can get out. If you do it normally, you're going to go through the rings and there's one missing, so you'll just, boom, jet into the wall. Okay, so we have enough time to get through this level here.
Huh?
It doesn't look like I can skip this. But we'll do Emerald Coast, and I think that's going to about do it.
Watch out! You're gonna crash! Ah!
And next week after the podcast, I'll do Silent Hill Downpour on the Xbox 360.
What am I gonna do with you?
Which I'm really looking forward to, because I haven't played that game in a long time, and that's one of my favorite Silent Hills. Alright, so I'm going to breeze through Emerald Coast. I'm going to try to do this in a few minutes, so I can leave a minute or two to wind down with. I'm going to be very fast with this. Sure takes the Dreamcast a long time to load as well. So I'm trying to be very, very fast here. Have a great weekend as well, Drift. Thanks for stopping by. Next week, we're going to do another podcast. ManicProfessor, Nicrowassassin, and myself. Not sure what that topic is going to be, but the parties and I will talk about that during the week. And other than that, I'm going to do, like it says, like 5 times now. I tend to repeat myself, but shit. Fell there. But Silent Hill Downpour. Yeah, speedrunner I wish. That is true, it is Nitro's turn to choose the topic. Okay, there's another fall. It is what it is. I don't have enough time to get through it, so... I want to try to keep this at 2 hours exactly. And also, Manic, while you're here, well, I don't know. I guess I'm feeling up to it. I was going to say what I was going to probably do is wait until tomorrow to compile this, like I did last week. But I think that I'm feeling okay that I'll go ahead and compile it tonight. Because what I have to do is I have to split the videos. I have to split it into the podcast and into the gaming. Does that make sense? So that's what I was thinking, just do it tomorrow, but I've been hydrating tonight. I've been drinking coconut water, which has electrolytes. So I'll just compile it after the stream here, I think. Dreamcast precursor to the GameCube, in a way. But, yes. Next week, we'll do another podcast for an hour, and then for the remaining hour, I'll do Xbox 360, Silent Hill Downpour. And I thank you for coming in tonight. And hopefully you enjoyed the podcast and the Dreamcast gaming. And I will see you next week, next Friday, at approximately 7 p.m. Mountain Standard. So, I will say farewell. See you next time, and have a good night. See you later.